Alright folks, I had to go up and get this harmonic balancer here for this Edsel here, because the original one has actually got an outer ring on here, and the motor that's in this car, some people call it a 361, some people call it a 360, same thing, it really ain't no different, but whatever you want to call it, 361, 360. But anyway, this motor is internally balanced, and this harmonic balancer has an outer ring on the original balancer, and it's a little bigger in diameter, and it's got a real close clearance here between touching the lower tensioner alternator bracket. And what I'm going to do to correct this is the harmonic balancer, first of all, to begin with, the seal in between the outer ring has got the, of course, the popular thing where it's dry rotted and it's, coming apart and everything. And you got to really be careful about that, because this outer ring will actually fly off if you don't watch out for that, and you can get something kind of bad happen. But anyway, that's one reason why we're replacing it. The other reason is the outer ring on it is we only got probably 1/8 of an inch of clearance between this alternator bracket down here and this harmonic balancer. If you can actually see it, it's hard to see, but it is there. There we go. Now you can really see that outer ring there. So we're going to do away with this factory balancer there. There you go. Now you can see that the seal between the outer ring and the actual balancer, and it's not really falling out, but it's aged. It's been in the car since it was new. But we're going to correct this and get more clearance between this lower alternator bracket and that ring there, and at the same time it'll be a little cheap kind of upgrade here. So I went to a machine shop here, picked this balancer up here for 25 bucks, and it's not perfect. It's for internally balanced. I think he said it was for a 390, and so which will work just fine on this motor here. But anyway, nice thing about it, about the forwards, is you have no groove to worry about on this balancer here, because it's actually a spacer behind this balancer that slips on top of the crankshaft there, and you actually just replace that little sleeve, snout, whatever you want to call it, that just slides onto the crankshaft, that actually goes behind the balancer there. So that makes it nice. As long as the seal is good, these balancers pretty much last a long time. Now, it's not perfect. It looked like somebody might have took a, some kind of a hammer or something and kind of beat it on. It's a little kind of nicked up there, but I think it'll work. But, as we could see there, your timing marks, you can read that pretty clear. So that makes it pretty nice here. But one thing we want to check, and he mentioned it too, and I already thought about it, being smaller in diameter here, and the original balancer is a little bigger diameter, we got to make sure that our timing marks line up when this engine is on true TDC. So we might have to come on here, and this balancer, it might not line up correctly when we set this on top dead center here. So get this to focus here. So you got to make sure and line that up here, so it's lined up with our 0 here. That's what I set it to. It's just a stock motor. But anyway, so you got to make sure that lines up here. If not, then what I'll do is I'll come in here. I'll either buy a timing marker and go that route. Sorry, fire truck went down the road. I'll either go that route and I'll get the correct timing marker for it, because the original one ain't gonna work. And it's actually, the original is actually spot welded to the timing cover, so I'll probably end up swapping this timing cover out, because I don't want to disturb that timing cover by pulling the timing marker off and doing all that. Because anything that comes off this car that's original to this car, I keep and put on the shelf. That's what I've always did. And that way, if we want to put it back original, we can. But anyway, I'll probably have to switch that timing cover out, and I'll buy an aftermarket timing marker. I'll get a good quality one that'll line up with this balancer here. But that's what I can do, if nothing else, for the time being, until I get true at TDC. I'll take in I'll take some white out and just mark it, and I'll just line it up that way with their original timing marker. I'll just mark on here where it's at TDC, and we'll just go by that until we actually swap the timing cover and all out. Because like I said, we don't want to be pulling our original timing cover marker off our original timing cover, disturbing it, in case we want to put this motor back original. But anyway, it's what I got here, and this is some advice out there to some Edsel people out there. And you know, like I said, I like to upgrade this car as much as I can. Now we'll always keep, like I said, over and over again, I'm always keep this original motor and the original 3-speed automatic in it. I'll never change that. But I want to do a few things. I want to get an aluminum 4-barrel intake, and maybe aluminum heads eventually later on. We'll probably get rid of this air cleaner. I really don't like it. I like it because it breathes better, but I don't like it being open element like that, because, you know, common sense is open to all the elements, you know, outside, and moisture and dirt and everything else. And I think a closed element air cleaner is better, but I don't think they breathe as good. But anyway, that's kind of what we got here. This is a little vise there, and I think this is probably maybe a 10-inch balancer, 9 or 10-inch balancer, something like that. But that's a nice thing about these balancers. You don't have to worry about the back of it having a groove worn in the balancer there, like on your typical Chevrolets and Chrysler products and all. But you got to watch out for this seal. Make sure that's not failing. But most of the time I replace these balancers. This is going to get a new balancer anyway. This is mainly just for now, for mock-up purposes, and, you know, just to see what's what with it. Because if this will work and I'll get it to line up correctly, then I'll swap this timing cover out, and I'll get the correct timing marker, and I'll buy this same size balancer, and we'll just go that route. And we'll just keep this for mock-up. But for 25 bucks, you know, I think this will work pretty good here. But anyway, this is what we got, and just a little advice out there for y'all Edsel owners. And the fuel pump works good. It works beautiful. I got to install a fuel filter on here. I'm going to install one on this pressure line here, somewhere in the middle here. And probably not really in this area, because it's kind of, I don't want all the heat to hit it and cause it to vapor lock. We'll probably install it probably a little bit further down here, and that way, as the engine's running, you know, cool air that this fan is pulling in will help blow on that fuel filter and the fuel line. It'll kind of help a little bit during the summertime, a little bit with it vapor lock, which I really don't have much trouble with that. I never really have. I mean, if you got an old car, it's just common sense, you know how to start it. But this is what we got. The fuel pump's still working good and all that, and we're going to be making some future videos. I did an experiment with the 59 Chevy Impala Bel Air Biscayne gas tank sending unit, and the fuel gauge does work in this car. I got it working again, and all you got to do is just take the sending unit wire, touch it to a ground source, and as long as this fuel gauge goes to full, if it pegs out on full, then the gauge itself is good. The same way with their temperature gauge, do that the same exact way, and that tells you that your gauge itself is good. Now, whether or not it reads accurate is a little different story, but it actually will tell you if it reads right. Now, I went ahead and tried a couple experiments here with this fuel tank sending unit, and went that route. Let me pull this trunk open here and see what we're talking about. Alright folks, so here's our 59 Chevy Impala Bel Air Biscayne fuel tank sending unit and our fuel tank, and this is what we're going to run in our 59 Edsel here, Corsair. And this is a 2-door hardtop car, as you can see, and this is the gas tank that I will run. We'll slightly modify it to make it work. Now, I did a little experiment here with this fuel tank sending unit that's made for the 59 Chevy, and it actually faces exactly how it is, and that's really, you really want to pay close attention to that, to which way this fuel sending unit faces, because you want the float to work properly. And it's actually got 2 bolts that are actually spaced apart a little bit further, so it only goes one way. And that's the nice thing about it. Now, I bought the sending unit and this gas tank. I've had it for quite a few months now. Been wanting to do some videos on it, and never really got the chance. It'll be a video series on this to help y'all Edsel owners out here that got this gas tank issue, that either don't have a gas tank or the gas tank is rotted to pieces, that is pretty much unusable. That's what happened in my case. And then on top of that, you know, it's got so much rust and scale. Let this fire truck pass here. But well, evidently it must not been nothing too serious, because they went on back down to the road to where their department is. But anyway, the fuel tank sending unit only goes on one way, and it goes installed just the way it is. This is the driver's side, that's the passenger side. The fuel outlet there facing to the passenger side, that's the way it's actually supposed to be. And did a few experiments here, and we're going to have to do a couple modifications to it. But the I went ahead and checked this sending unit out. I hooked it up, and I had a ground jumper wire. We just ground it from this actual sending unit here. But the way this installs, this is the sending unit wire. This is the yellow wire right here. It goes to the sending unit on our Edsel here. So you just take this in and plug it up to the stud here, and then you take a jumper wire like some alligator clips and just clip it to, it's actually a ground source right here, so you can clip it directly to that. I had to go in here with a little sandpaper and clean some of this coating off here, because this is supposed to be a quote-unquote stainless fuel sending unit, so I had to clean some of this I guess you would say some of this finish off, so I get a better ground. I had to clean some underneath here too, as you can see. But anyway, I did that, and then we hooked it up. We hooked it to a ground source, so just ground to the body of the car, and then we moved this fuel lever up and down. Just really easy. You got to hold it up like this would be full. So this would actually be full. You got to make sure that it's touching down here. It's against that little prong end, whatever you want to call it, and you want to make sure your fuel gauge in your car lines up and it's reading correctly and it's reading it full. And then if it's all the way down like it is here in our case, you want to make sure that it shows empty, so it's reading correctly. Well, what I've discovered here is it's actually, our fuel gauge works in our car, but it's reading the complete opposite, and it's off about, it reads about a quarter tank off. So we're going to have to do a couple arrangements here. So the gauge is reading backwards. Full is actually empty. Empty is actually full. And when you actually set this up, if you hold this up like it's reading full right now, then it'll actually show a quarter tank of gas. That's what it's showing. And if you go all the way down, then it actually pegs out past full. So it's actually reading backwards, and then it does not go lower than a quarter tank of gas. So we're going to do a little modifications here, and we might have to tweak this, maybe bend that just a little bit, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm actually going to go in here. Some of these they read by ohms. They read by resistance. So I might go in here, and we really don't want to modify our lever here. Not going to do that. We might have to come in here and actually drill out 2 of the spot wells that hold this resistance on here and pull this off. And I may have to buy another sending unit that's actually for a 59 Ford and modify that and swap that out so our fuel gauge in our car will read correctly. And we might have to either turn this way, might have to clock it 180, or either clock it 360, one of the two. Well, it'd be 180, not 360, but I might have to clock this one way or the other, so that will correct our fuel gauge in our car, and that way it'll get it reading correctly there. But anyway, that's kind of where we're at here, and that's what I'm going through so far. There'll be more videos on this. I'm going to create a video series. This is just a little snippet of it, and I hope this helps some Edsel people out there. And we got a lot of other things we're going to go over, and that I'm going to take care of. We got to modify. This is our vent tube right here for our vented tank, so we'll have to run the line from that, and we'll still use our original vent tubing right there that comes for our original tank. We'll reuse that. We will have to slightly modify this tank. We'll have to cut it and get a piece of hose and either go that route with 2 clamps, or we'll either cut it and then I'll take the original neck that I got off my tank, and then I'll modify it that way. But the problem with that is if you don't have the original tank and got a good neck that's not rotted to pieces, you know, we're talking what, 60, 70 years, something like that. We want to do this 100% without using the original tank or any parts off of it whatsoever. Now, you can still buy the sending units for a regular 59 Ford. They are the same. A Galaxy is the same as a Edsel, but the neck is offset to the side, and you got to watch out for that. But anyway, I will give more information on this, and it will be a video series coming up. But anyway, I hope this helps some people out there. And remember, driver's side is that way, passenger side is that way. The fuel sending unit on a 59 Chevy, Biscayne, Bel Air, Impala faces and installs that way, with the outlet facing towards the passenger side. So keep that in mind. I verified that because obviously I got other videos, and I have a 59 Chevy sitting way over there. So anyway, that's where we're at. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I'm going to help y'all Edsel owners out there so that it's not some huge mystery and some big issue with the gas tank issue. That tank is very inexpensive. I got a lot of good information on it, and it's one of the best ways you have to do it. And might have to modify our sending unit a little bit, but this is a so much better solution than trying to fight with a junk tank that's rotted to pieces, full of scale, everything else, and it's just so much better off. And we're going to do this without using any parts whatsoever off our original tank. So anyway, y'all take care. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Be more videos to come, and look forward to the gas tank series that'll be coming up. And I'll install this balancer. We'll have some videos on that as well. And then that way, if you got an Edsel there again, I have an alternator series on this, on how to upgrade from a generator to an alternator. We got rid of our voltage regulator down there, and we got rid of our generator, obviously. And like I said, I keep everything on a shelf, so if I want to go back original, I can do it. And snap of a finger just like that, and go back to points and all that good stuff. Y'all take care. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe.